When we talk about white supremacy in politics these days, we tend to focus on the nightmare gang of Scooby-Doo villains that came to Washington in the past couple of years. But even before they slithered into town, we already had white nationalists serving in government. Foremost among them, Steve King. He's the congressman from Iowa's 4th District. He also happens to be the district's most disgraceful white supremacist, barely edging out the runner-up, a cow named Adolf Heifer. Let's hear some of Steve's greatest hits.
This whole white people business, though, does get a little tired, Charlie. Where did any other subgroup of people contribute more to civilization than white people?
If we brought, let's just say, 1 billion people from the continent of India, Indians, into America, would that change America? Would we ever become that which we are and have been, the America that I love? This Western civilization still is a superior civilization, and certain groups of people will do more from a productive side than other groups of people will. That's just a statistical fact.
Put a little bit of wire on top here to provide a disincentive for people to climb over the top, or put a ladder there. We could also electrify this wire. We do that with livestock all the time.
That is all really horrible, but to be fair, party leadership did punish him with a firm back pat. How racist is this live-action Disney villain? For one thing, until recently, he kept a Confederate flag on his desk, even though, again, he's from Iowa, which was on the Union side. And in case that was too subtle for anyone, he placed his desk on a Confederate statue. Steve King also fought to have English declared the official language, not to be confused with Iowa's unofficial language, carving butter with cries for help. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, Steve King is also really into neo-Nazis.
Iowa Republican Congressman Steve King, a hardliner on immigration, tells CNN he didn't realize he retweeted a message from a self-described Nazi sympathizer, but he is refusing to delete the tweet.
I'm not deleting that, because then you all pile on me and say King had to apologize, he was wrong, he knows he's guilty. I'm not. I don't feel guilty one bit.
I'm sure he says he's not guilty, but then the next day he came out with this book. Steve's excuse that he didn't know he was promoting a Nazi sympathizer would have been a lot more plausible if he didn't go on to promote another Nazi sympathizer.
King tweeted his support for Faith Goldy. She's a candidate for mayor of Toronto and an unapologetic neo-Nazi sympathizer. Goldie was fired last year from a far-right news outlet after she appeared on a podcast produced by the neo-Nazi website, The Daily Stormer. She has also questioned whether immigration is contributing to a white genocide in Canada.
Yeah, there's racism, and then there's, I don't think Canada is white enough racism. And I mean, what is up with the phrase white genocide? Genocide means that you and everyone like you will be murdered. Not that your daughter might marry a black guy. It's not a genocide if it includes gift bags and a make-your-own Sunday bar. But Steve King is very concerned about white people.
You cannot rebuild your civilization with somebody else's babies. This is an effort on the left, I think, to break down the American civilization and the American culture and turn it into something entirely different.
Calm down, Steve. It's not our fault that nobody wants to fuck people like you. old Blue Eyes here isn't just a blowhard. He's normalizing far-right views both here and abroad.
After a trip to Austria, Steve King said that Austria's Freedom Party, which was founded by a Nazi and is the 21st century edition of the Nazi Party, if they were in America pushing the platform that they push, they would be Republicans.
Oh my God, did Steve King just say Nazis are Republicans? So tomorrow morning when you read the headline, Samantha Bee says Republicans are Nazis, remember, I didn't say that. Steve King said it. Now you might be wondering, why was Steve King even meeting with a Nazi-led party in Austria anyway? Turns out he was on a Holocaust memorial trip. Oh, he must have been so disappointed to learn that Holocaust memorials usually take the anti-Holocaust side. How did this leathery used Volkswagen salesman even get into Congress? Was he appointed in some crazy King Ralph situation? Believe it or not, he was elected on purpose, not once, not twice, but 8 times. Further proof that Iowa makes terrible decisions and has no business being first in the caucuses, as if it weren't enough that we have to watch every politician fillet corn dogs at the state fair. But as insane as he seems, Steve King isn't that much of an outlier in today's Republican Party. I mean, sure, he blurts out all the stuff you're not supposed to say out loud, but he's rarely denounced by his fellow conservatives, who are instead focused on calling out the true threat to our nation, late-night comedians, which is fair. We've all seen the violent acts inspired by Jimmy Fallon's lip-sync battles. Steve King has consistently spewed racism for 16 years with only the occasional half-hearted reprimand from his party. When Paul Ryan was asked about King's thoughts on what color our babies should be, he yelled, "Tax cuts," threw a smoke bomb, and disappeared. Why can't Republicans just say, racism is bad? Even if you don't mean it, just say the words. Here's how.
If there's anyone who has mistakenly attached himself to our party in the belief that we are not open to citizens of every race and religion, then let me remind you, tonight this hall belongs to the party of Lincoln, and the exits, which are clearly marked, are for you to walk out of as I stand this ground without compromise.
See? There's a guy who knows how to say the tough things, like racists aren't welcome here and buy these boner pills. Oh, remember when this was weird politics? Memories. Well, yesterday the Republicans finally stepped up, one of them a little bit. The chair of the National Republican Congressional Committee condemned Steve King's remarks, and it only took 16 years. I look forward to 16 years from now when President Paul Cyber Ryan gets around to condemning Trump's racism. We'll be right back.